Yo, what's going on, man? Today is October the 9th, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is yet another edition of the NBA team previews. So we're breaking down every team. Excuse me. We're breaking down every team, looking at their chances to win their division, their chances to win their conference, their chances to win the title. We're going through additions and subtractions, and I'll give you guys my opinions whether I like a team, whether I think it's probably just better to stay off, or if I think a team is going to fall below the expectations based on what the books have in place. So with no further ado, we're gonna jump right into it. Before we do though, smash that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new and listening in on Twitter. You can access all my work over on YouTube at Crispy Cap and Two P's Two Ends, and then turn that notification bell on. Most of the time, I gave out the schedule and it's on my timeline. I probably should pin it to the top. I'll probably do that after the show, but it's 2 teams a day. Every day until we get through, till we get through to the end of the season. So we've been through the heavy hitters in the top of the Eastern and Western Conference already. That being the Milwaukee Bucks, the Denver Nuggets was last Tuesday. The Boston Celtics and the Memphis Grizzlies were last Wednesday. We did the Sixers and the Kings on Thursday, and then Friday we broke down the Cavs and the Phoenix Suns as well. So today we got the Knicks and we got the Clippers, man. And let's just jump right into it. So we're gonna start on the East Coast. Let's talk about the New York Knickerbocker, man. Exciting team from last year. This team, granted they didn't lose in great fashion. I think a lot of people just remember teams based on what have you done for me recently? How did you lose? How did you go out? So while the Knicks caught a lot of slack for not being able to shoot the ball and kind of leaving Jalen Brunson out to dry, in my estimation, in the in the semifinals last year. This team did over exceed expectations last year. This was a really good team last year. They got Josh Hart, of course, towards the second half of the season, right at the close to the trade deadline. Re-signed him over the course of the offseason. Well, let's go back. So what they did last year, this team lost in the semifinals to Miami after upsetting Cleveland. We can't forget that they upset Cleveland in the first round as a 5 seed when Cleveland were a 4 seed. They went into Cleveland and won those games. They actually took some of my money because I remember being on the Cavs, especially in the bounce back game in game 2. And they didn't come to show up in that game. I vividly remember having the Cavs in the first half, Cavs in the first quarter, I believe. But this year, you get a heightened sense of expectations, I think, for this New York team. So, Brunson being in definitely brings in, that heightened sense of expectation. Of course, he left Dallas. Dallas let him walk, didn't even offer him a bag of potato chips. So he signs with the Knicks, and what does he do? He goes out and averages 24 points and 6 assists as his first year kind of being the guy. And we also saw him kind of resurrect Julius Randle career because Julius Randle was kind of caught like a deer in headlights in some of those moments the year before where he was having to, just do a little too much, whether he was over driving, over penetrating, just not making the right play. So having Brunson kind of shifted Julius Randle into the right position in my eyes. So we saw Julius Randle have a really good year last year. 25 points, 10 rebounds is what we saw him have. Made the All-Star team and was named All-NBA third team. I think a lot of that goes to Mr. Brunson. And we saw, I don't have to go through his playoff numbers, but in the playoffs specifically, we saw Jalen Brunson really step up and rise to the occasion. So off season, you bring in Dante DiVincenzo, who I really like. I like DiVincenzo a lot. This guy's a knockdown shooter from the perimeter. He's an excellent defender. He's gritty. He's going to be able to guard your second play. Your best wing at times when he needs to. Definitely for stints in the game. And also, there's a lot of chemistry already because he's a Villanova kid, right? So he's played with Brunson. He's played with Hart. They all were on the same team together when they were, at Villanova during their collegiate days. So some camaraderie that's already kind of established within that group. So I love what the Knicks did. I don't think that you really need to retool a lot, especially when you exceeded expectations last year. You do lose Derrick Rose, which kind of bittersweet because he's been with Tibbs for a really long time in his career, going back to Chicago days when he was jumping, touching the top of the backboard, winning MVPs. So you lose Derrick Rose, but he wasn't part of the rotation last year anyway. He was a veteran presence on the team, so you lose that piece, which I think he'll fit really well in Memphis, and we kind of talked about that already. But you also lose Obi Toppin, right? Obi Toppin was a guy who just never seemed to be able to find, in my estimation, never be able to crack the rotation consistently, and being presented that opportunity to do what it is that Obi can do. So you sign Josh Hart over the offseason. You give him 4 years, $81 million. I like that extension for him. Josh Hart's the prototypical 3-and-D type player, and an excellent fit just in this short period of time. We saw his impact in the semifinals against the Cleveland Cavaliers. You trade Obi Toppin to the Indiana Pacers for a pair of second-round picks. And, of course, coming into the season, you got some players that's already pretty conditioned, right? Jalen Brunson and RJ Barrett both played in the FIBA ball over the course of the summer. So I'm pretty sure those guys are going to come back in and be in pretty good shape as well. So I like the additions. I like what this team is kind of building on. I'm always more likely to back a team that's a defensive oriented team and that's defensive minded. Of course, you got Quickly coming back in, another year progression for Emmanuel Quickly, who I'm a big fan of as well. So I really like this team, man. I think that they are definitely trending in the right direction. And in my estimation, the Eastern Conference got a little bit worse. When you think about it from a totality perspective, maybe the teams at the top got a little stronger, but a lot of the teams in the bottom didn't really make a lot of moves. So I got pretty high expectations for this team. Last year, they finished 47 and 35. So 12 games above 500. Projected win total this year. This number is widely available. I looked at it earlier. 44.5. So the books are expecting this team to take a tad bit of a step backwards and win a few less games, than they won last year. Their odds to win the Atlantic Division is plus 900. Their odds to win the East is plus 2,000, and to win the title is plus 5,000. And while I'm not interested in any of those, I'm not interested in any of those long term, I do think that their projected win total, in my estimation anyway, is a tad bit too low, right? I kind of mentioned a little bit already. If I had to bet the win total, I'm taking over 44.5 for the Knicks, man. I do think that this team can play as well as they did last year. They didn't really lose anyone. I talked about, the only guys that aren't on the team, like I just kind of mentioned, are Derrick Rose and Obi Toppin. I think you can find ways to kind of, you got to be able to find ways to kind of replace Obi Toppin. And I think that they'll be able to. This is a gritty, hard-nosed team that prides themselves on the defensive end. And you got to be able to lock in and lock up on the defensive end if you're going to be out there on the floor for Thibodeau. We know Thibodeau has no problem running his players into the ground. And if you're in the doghouse, like Evan Fournier, then, you might not sniff the court. So you're going to have to be able to play defense. I don't think that Evan Fournier necessarily fit the mold for what it is to be a New York Knicks player, just because they play with so much grit and, everybody out there is going to be playing defense. But I like this Knicks team. Like I said, if I'm taking the win total, I'm going over. They didn't really lose anyone. You get Brunson playing just under his second year. This is his second year with Tibbs, and another year of chemistry, camaraderie with Julius Randle, I think is going to help. You add Dante DiVincenzo, so that helps your shooting, because we remember why this team lost in the playoffs last year. It was because of their lack of shooting. They just could not shoot the ball. We saw Julius Randle kind of fade away in that New York in the Miami series. And we saw everybody kind of shrink. The player that we did not see shrink, and I probably should have looked up the numbers, but Jalen Brunson just got bigger as the moment got bigger, right? So I like that he gets another year with Brunson. I like that, it's just another year of everybody kind of being together. So I like that they didn't go out and change this roster too much. Like I said, you add Dante DiVincenzo, another year of development for RJ Barrett, who looks like he's put on some weight. At first, I was like, man, this he done blew up. He done got chubby. But I think that was, a lot of that is muscle. He's just trying to make sure he's not going to be getting bullied. And I don't think he's losing, from what I've seen, I don't think he's losing too much speed with that as well. So I love the addition, like I said, of Dante, but I do also love another year of just, gradual progression, right? We always talk about players, it's a boom or bust league. What have you done for me lately? But a lot of the times is what you do in the offseason that really shows. And I think for RJ Barrett, for an Emmanuel Quickly, and when I talk about Emmanuel Quickly, we got to remember that this dude was, top 2, top 3 in the conversation for sixth man of the year, right? Somebody that could come in, run that offense, guard your best player on the opposite end, very shifty, especially if he starts to knock down the outside shot a little better. I love this win total to go over. Actually, one of my favorite ones that I've kind of capped so far. And last but not least, like I said, the East, in my estimation, especially at the bottom, it didn't get any better. I don't think the East got better. You know, a lot of the teams that didn't make the playoffs last year, I think, are going to struggle again this year. And you know, who are those teams? Who am I talking about? I'm talking about the Detroit Pistons. I know they get Cade back, but I don't think that they're going to make a playoff run. The Charlotte Hornets. I know that they got, you know, Miles Bridges back, but I don't think they're going to make a playoff run. The Orlando Magic, maybe. The Wizards going to win less games. They won 35 last year, but their projected win total, I think, is like 27 and a half. And then you got other teams taking a step back. The Bulls didn't get any better. The Miami Heat, I know that they, you know, like made it all the way to the finals last year, but I don't think that they got any better based on what we're talking about. You know, looking at these teams, the Brooklyn Nets, of course, they should probably take a step back because they won't have KD and Kyrie, which got them a lot of their wins last year. So I think that this Knicks team will win 45 games this year. And to me, it's kind of surprising that the win total is so low. This was a really good team on the road last year. I think, you know, a couple quotes came out about them kind of feeling like they had to lock in and it was them against the world when they were on the road last year. They finished 24-17 versus at home, you know, kind of a letdown spot at times, 23-18 last year. Also, what did they do against the conference? Just 8-8 against the conference. And I want to look at just real quickly. I got some more numbers as far as first quarter, first half teams. We know that the Knicks could not be trusted in the games where they couldn't be trusted. It was always in the second half, right? So first quarter ATS, the Knicks were actually one of the stronger teams, 44-36-2 at home, 25-15-1 at home in the first quarter. So this is a team that you know kind of made money with betting on them in the first quarter, and I think that kind of repeats itself from last year, in my opinion. As far as first quarter over unders, if you're over under better, the Knicks actually were. Let's see, New York, just 41-38. So they kind of treaded, back and forth in that way. But as far as first half ATS, best team in the league, they actually were tied with the Grizzlies. Well, actually, one game are better than the Grizzlies. 51-30-1. One push were the New York Knickerbockers in the first half. So if you want to back them, you typically wanted to do it in the first half. 26-14-1 at home, 25-16 on the road. So those are my thoughts on the New York Knicks, man. Anybody got anything they want to chime in? Definitely let me know. Shoot me a request if you're listening in on Twitter, and I'm gonna get to the YouTube comment section in just a second. I thought I had another tab up, but I'm not seeing it right now. I had defensive numbers as well. 3 times said, let me get my guy Stefan up real quick. 3 times says, what up, Chris, and everyone, happy Monday. Good luck. Appreciate you, my guy. Definitely appreciate that 3 times. Myron says, are they going to do anything with Evan Fournier, even though it's a FIBA ball? Dude is a baller in these international events. I don't think so, Myron. Like, I feel like once you in Tibbs' doghouse, you in there. And maybe they trade him. You know, I know he just had the quotes that came out, I want to say yesterday or at least over the weekend, where, you know, he said he still feels like he has a lot of value and you know, has a lot that he can contribute to, being successful for this team. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not 100% sure. My guy Stefan actually in the chat, and he's the resident New York Knicks guy. So let's let Stefan speak about his guys. Stefan, you got any thoughts about your Knicks, man? And I appreciate you being here too.
Hey, ton of thoughts. First off, man, it's great to talk to you again. It's great to be back, man. Looking forward to this season with everybody again, bro. Like the 2 big thoughts I have on is you mentioned the fact that like people who played in FIBA and were active in the off season, and that was like Brunson, but that was also Josh Hart who got the new contract. And we saw like last year with the Knicks team, they played quicker and they played different. And I think a big thing that's under the radar is the loss of Obi Toppin. How they didn't really replace him. Like they don't really have like a backup 4. So I think the plan really looks like it's going to be like maybe start Hart or use Hart in the role where he's playing like a lot of backup 4. So early on in the season, like his rebounds is something I'm going to be trying to look at, because I think like the books made I realize like he's not really going to be like a 2 or 3. He's going to be like a 3/4. And you know me, I'm always going to go full homer. So here goes my full homer take. I love the win total for their wins and losses, because you talked about the East taking a step back. One of the futures I gave out was Sixers under 49.5 wins, because I just think that whole situation is going to blow up soon. Like, there's no way Embiid's going to want to be there. he could also get hurt. James Harden is going to blow that situation up. I've long said that the only reason that people like Evan Fournier are on his team are for the roster, for the contract, because he's got basically a 1 year expiring. He's got a perfect salary total where you can mix and match for a trade. And I've always said by this time next year, they're going to have one of Donovan Mitchell, Joel Embiid, if not both on the roster. Like, they have all the pieces. They've been building year after year, stockpiling all these draft picks, all these first-round picks, all these young players. It's the reason they didn't extend Emmanuel quickly yet. So, yeah, I love that over for the win total because I just think they're going to have a star by the deadline on this team. And then from there, it's like you're looking at the East where it's like it's up top, it's the Celtics, it's the Bucks, and then you got to respect the Heat. But then after that, it's like nobody in the conference scares me. So, yeah, I would love to get your thoughts on that, but that's how I see the Knicks so far.
I mean, I think the only thing that you mentioned, Stephen, that I didn't mention that I also agree with is just the Sixers. I hadn't really thought like I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I do think that that's going to blow up. The other thing that you didn't mention is like even if let's just say Embiid doesn't get hurt. Let's say Harden ends up getting traded. He ends up in like LA with the Clippers or something like that. Like there's still potential like just to shut Embiid down at the end of the season, right? Like maybe you don't want to risk him getting injured, and that's another alternative, right? So that's what makes it kind of hard with these win totals, especially if you're looking at a team that's kind of capped out, right? Like maybe they are right at the number that they were last year. So yeah, I would absolutely agree with that. I think I agree with everything you said. And it sounds like we're both on the right side of the win total for the Knicks. I just honestly feel like the East just did not get a lot better after you look at the Bucks and after you look at the Celtics. Of course, they're gonna be there, like you said. I think the Cavs are a sneaky team up top as well, but the Knicks didn't finish 1, 2, or 3 last year. So for me, it's no reason that they couldn't finish 4. They couldn't finish 5 in the same spot that they finished last year. But I don't see them taking a huge step back here at all, Stephen. And the piece that you mentioned about Josh Hart getting those backup 4 minutes. This guy in today's NBA, he is a 4 just because of how physical he is, right? Like he might be undersized, but he plays hard. He plays like a 4 that can extend the floor. And I'm pretty sure he probably been working on the jump shot, trying to extend it a little bit more because that's only going to, like help him even more, like help the Knicks even more as far as spacing, when it comes down to it. So him, Julius Randle, you still got what's your big boy name? Why can't I think of his name?
Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson. You still got Mitchell Robinson down there anchoring that defense and rebounding, blocking shots, boxing out. So yeah, I mean the Knicks I know that they were a really good rebounding team last year as well. So yeah, I love that. And I hadn't even thought about, just replacing Obi, but that makes a lot of sense to me, Stephen. You just give Josh Hart those minutes.
Yeah, and like I might as well say this because I know there's a lot of Homer Heat fans listening. So I'm just going to say this. You're going to have to explain to me how the Miami Heat are better than the Knicks without saying the word Heat culture. they got worse at every position. They didn't add any role players in. Like Tyler Hero is supposed to be like this all-star. Please stop it. Like the Heat were like listen, I respect everything they did in the playoffs. Like they beat us. But they were sorry as hell the entire regular season. Like we watched all these games. They barely almost made it out of the play-in. And like now everyone has them pegged in as like this top 4 seed, 48, 49 wins. Like, I don't know. I don't see that. I don't see it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see how that goes, man. I feel like they still got some strings they're gonna pull, but we'll see how that goes. Let me kick it to Jehovah real quick. CJ, I see your hand up. I'm gonna come to you next.
Hey, man.
What up, Jehovah? How you, bro?
Man, I'm good. I couldn't wait for the season to start. I really couldn't wait. And I'll say it now before I even go on about the Knicks. Like, this space, for the people that's, like, new to Chris, like, he made me the most money, bro. My first bet was, I think, 2022? And then I just started hopping. I know you've been doing it for, like, 3 years now.
Yeah, this will be the 3rd year. I started December.
So it was around that time. Man, I made the most money. I just checked on FanDuel, 20,000. That's the most I made. So
okay.
I'm like, and I know you don't parlay. I parlay a lot. That's what I've been hitting.
Nice. Okay.
But about the Knicks, like the Knicks were at first, I was saying they were going to be like my sleeper team in the East, but I'm looking now at their first 10 games, and I think you'll have to start early in the East because I feel like there's a lot of competition. y'all got Boston the first game, and then Atlanta. I think you may steal a game from Atlanta. And mind you, you're you're home at Boston, then you're at Atlanta, then you're at New Orleans, then you're at Cleveland, and then you're home in Cleveland, then you're at Milwaukee, and then you play the Clippers, and then you may take a game with the Spurs, then you got Charlotte, then you ended off in Boston. That's the 10th. And then you got to go to the West in a few games, and it's going to get harder out there. So I think the Knicks start off slow. Maybe, and you were talking about Fournier. I think maybe you just play him early on in the season, and then just use him for trade value, because he produced last year for me. He made me some money last year. His 2 threes or 3 threes. He made me some money. So I know he can produce, but later on he sat on the bench.
That's gonna be interesting. I like that take, Jehovah. I just think, bro, Thibodeau is so like he's just so like, man, like I don't know, but he just don't like if he don't rock with you, it's like he don't rock with you. You know what I mean? It makes sense. Yeah, right. What you're saying makes sense, but if Thibodeau if he don't vibe with you, he don't vibe with you to even give you the opportunity. It makes sense from an organizational perspective if you're trying to get something back and some value back. So I absolutely agree with that. I agree with that for sure.
Smart.
And then, so you talked about schedule, and I apologize because I forgot to talk about this piece. But looking at because I didn't give out a schedule difficulty, but the Knicks do have, I want to say it was the 13th. Yeah, the 13th easiest schedule. So they kind of fall like right in between. Like 13th easiest is almost like 17th most difficult. So like schedule not too hard based on opponents' win percentage and back-to-backs, travel, that type of thing. So appreciate your thoughts, Jehovah. Definitely appreciate your thoughts, man.
Mm-hmm.
So the scheduling piece is big though, especially at the beginning. I'm glad you mentioned that, Jehovah. Let me kick it to CJ real quick, and then Stephen, I'm gonna get back to you. Keith and David, I see y'all as well. I'm gonna get to y'all as well. What up, CJ?
What's good, Chris, bro? Been a long time, bro. We getting back into this season, man. I'm not supposed to be up here to the Rockets and Heat talk, bro. But I couldn't let somebody come up here and talk this blasphemy about the Knicks, bro. Like, we're not gonna do that, man. You're not gonna sit here with one of the teams that literally the most underachieving teams last year in the playoffs, and then try to come to a team that was the 8th seed that beat y'all quite soundly and talk down on the team, bro. That's crazy.
But the
team right now, without making any adjustments to what they have right now, I'm still taking over the Knicks. Why? Because Eric Spoelstra is the coach, and because literally Jimmy Butler is still better than everybody on your team. You lost Toppin. You have your coach is too dumb to even let your center have an offensive game. He only wants him to play in the paint, get rebounds, and block shots. He won't even allow him to have an offensive game in 2023 when all centers basically shoot and play from both ends, bro. It's not gonna happen. Y'all gonna have a really good 44 wins at the end of the season. Make the playoffs and get bumped the first round. Congratulations.
Bump the first round. So here's my question for you, CJ. Where do you think they finished? What seed?
They'll fight for a 6 seed.
A 6 seed?
That's respectable.
Hold on, I don't think that's respectable. Hold on, CJ. You said 6 like seis, like Spanish seis, like after 5. Because if you said that, I just need to know. I need to know the 5 teams that's gonna be above them. Like, I know 3, but I just need the other ones that's gonna be above them in the East. But all right, that's cool. That's cool.
Remember, you lost the season before last to Atlanta, who's probably going to be better this year.
Right, but
2 seasons ago with a different team.
I was gonna say, CJ, you don't think Brunson coming in changes that team any? Like, you can't think back 2 years ago.
No. Brunson is the bright spot of the team. I think you guys getting DiVincenzo, he's a great pickup for you guys. I think trying to get that whole team together, but your coach is going to ruin it because he's not going to adapt to 2023 basketball, which is why you're going to continue to lose, and which why I said you'll be a 6 seed and get bounced the first round because you're going to have to play the Bucks, the Celtics, or fuck around and play play Philly, which they could be a third seed if they keep Harden. So I mean, yeah, you lose to any top 4 team, including Atlanta, because I think Atlanta's going to be better than a lot of people think.
They ain't keeping Harden.
Okay, so you think Atlanta jumped this year? I think Brooklyn going to struggle to get back to the 5th seed. I'm sorry, the 6th seed. They finished 6th last year, right? Yeah, because the Knicks finished 5th. Brooklyn finished 6th.
If you want to say that all depends though, because you don't, with the guards that they have, with the forwards that they have, they can lock up your best players. Like they have guards, they have the forwards to guard basically your best players and make it a tough night.
Will they be able to
full season to prepare with those guys? So
that's true.
Be a defensive team. I get Ben Simmons.
I give you that. Well, hold on. You just can't finish with they got Ben Simmons and think that's gonna be okay. But my thing is this though, CJ. They finished with 45 wins last year. If we go back, I ain't run no numbers yet, but if you go back and look at their record when they had KD and those wins outside of KD and Kyrie, the Brooklyn Nets really struggled last year. And granted, like you said, they're a good defensive team. When those four, when they got swept, right? Yeah, when they got swept to Philly last round, they could just couldn't score the ball. I think they averaged like 78 points per game. Like it was really, it was like probably your worst first round series. Like remember Harden didn't play or Embiid didn't play in one of those games, so it got really, really bad with them. So I'm interested to see if their offense takes a step up, being that they perform so poorly, or if they just hang their hats on the defensive end because their points per game had to go way down last year after that trade.
Yeah, but I think Philly was just the worst matchup for them to draw. And if you want to be clear, I think they would have gave the Knicks a run for their money if they played the Knicks if they had a better lineup. But Philly, they just didn't have the right matchup, and Harden wasn't just going to lose to them. Harden could have beat them without Embiid if he wanted to.
I don't know about that one. That's shiesty, CJ. But you might be right. That's neither here nor there. We ain't gonna debate things that can't be debated. We don't got no facts about that. Let me go back to Stephen real quick, and then Keith, I'm coming to you. David, I'm gonna get you up too.
Hey, listen, no disrespect to anyone here. I love the back and forth, but Heat fans are a special fan base. The only fan base that I know could lose 2 rotation players. Literally, don't add a single player to the team and argue why they're better this year.
Oh yeah, because they got Spoelstra.
Yeah. Bro, listen, I'm gonna keep it funky and keep it 100. Bro, we were smacking the Celtics all last year. Ain't nobody in New York afraid of the damn Celtics, bro. We owned the Celtics last year. Philly is imploding. James Harden was in the club talking about John Moore as a liar, and that's supposed to be their starting point guard.
That's
the team I'm supposed to be afraid of. The Hawks are terrible. We smacked them last year too. Listen, I'm going to be here, and we're going to be here all season. When the Knicks trade for a star, I don't hear anybody because Donovan Mitchell is not extending in Cleveland. Where do you think Donovan Mitchell's going to go? Knicks got more pieces than the Heat do, so he's going to get traded somewhere. The Knicks are getting a star, so we have all season to let this play out. They won 47 games last year. They handily destroyed the Cavs in round 1 last year. I'll give the Heat all the credit in the world. They played great. They made the finals. Heat culture, amazing. But if we're talking regular season, the Heat are not a regular season team, over 82 games. They're just not. Playoffs is different. So the Knicks are clearly a top 5 seed. This
the Knicks do not own Boston.
That's a fact.
That's number
what happened last year when the Knicks played the Celtics?
Hey, are we talking playoffs here? That regular season don't matter.
Well, hold on. We're talking regular season right now, right? Because what we were talking, we're talking regular season because I'm not taking the Knicks future at all for any playoff thing. I said that I like the Knicks win total to go over. I don't think that they finish below a 5 seed. Could they prove me wrong? Absolutely. Could one of these teams, one of these middle teams, supersede expectations, like the Chicago Bulls, the Toronto Raptors, the Indiana Pacers? Absolutely. But I don't think that any of those teams are going to beat the Knicks just because I like the defense. I like the chemistry that they have. I think Brunson's a superstar. And everybody, for the majority part, everybody was actually engaged in basketball, playing FIBA over the course of the offseason. So those are my reasons for liking the Knicks that I talked about at the top. Jehovah, let me kick it to Keith real quick because I know you've been waiting for a second, and then we'll double back around, and then we'll go to the JV team out in LA, the Clippers. What's up, Keith?
What up?
What up, man? How you doing?
Doing good. I'm not gonna lie. I've been watching a lot of these videos. When I heard that first yo, I was like, damn, that's how.
My God, appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that a lot. What's your thoughts on the Knicks this year?
I've been rooting for the Knicks, ever since they drafted R.J. Barrett, it just sounds like a Knickerbocker name, man. I know he's been getting a lot of scrutiny through the fan base, but he's been stepping his game up in the playoffs. And honestly, I'm a Heat fan. I just want to put that out there. We lost big pieces to help us win on the road this year. So I don't see us going into Madison Square Garden with that atmosphere trying to win. And I'm kind of putting that out there for most of the teams because I'm very big on continuity. And the Knicks have all that. I'm not just saying the Knicks are going to win, the Knicks are doing this, but at some point you got to realize, like, let's say the Heat and Knicks do match up. Thibodeau's definitely going to want to finally get a series win against Spo. Like, that's definitely on his list this year. But more so moving forward, I think the Knicks got a good team. I actually was just watching the Celtics preseason game yesterday, and if that team does stay healthy and they find a way to figure it out, I'm actually very nervous because the way Porzingis was just moving on the court yesterday, I don't know how many teams have an answer for that. Because Mitchell Robinson's definitely not stepping outside of the paint. And you take Bam out the paint, we really don't have another shot blocker. That just leaves it out for you can't leave Kevin Love out there. He's food. Leonard Robinson is not ready yet. I love Thomas Bryant. I just don't think he's ready yet. We'll see how the season goes, though.
Yeah, but you know what? I agree with everything you said. But Porzingis, you know, the best ability is availability, and we know that guy's typically MIA in the biggest moments. Granted, he did play 65 games last year, which was the most I think since 2016, 2017, and he shot a career high 50% from the field last year as well. And I want to say he shot his second or third best 3-point percentage as well. When I was breaking down the Boston Celtics, I talked about that last week. So I agree with your sentiments on that, Keith. It's going to be interesting to see. I didn't watch much of that game because I was watching NFL yesterday, and I know that those same two teams play today as well. Somebody asked me in the chat, what I was looking at for it to what I think about the games for tonight, and I didn't even look into the games for tonight. I'll tell you, it's simple to cap the NBA preseason games though. You really just got to follow the beat writers because you need to know who's playing. Boston played last night. I saw that they're playing again tonight. It looks like Boston plays New York tonight. Boston played their starters heavy minutes last night. Most of the teams, I've been following all of these games. I ain't been watching all of them, fully, but most of these teams are, like not playing their starters in the second half of the games. We saw, even yesterday, a lot. Frank Vogel pulled his big three out in the second quarter with like 5 minutes left, and they had already scored like 60 points. And then, they were up by 20. And they allow the Pistons second team to come in. They come all the way back and send that game into overtime yesterday. So that's something to watch for because I was a tad bit shocked that the coaches had left their starters in. I know Nick Nurse liked to run his players in the ground, and Mazzulla still trying to figure out things over there in Boston as well, just being his second year. But at the same time, it's like, how long you gonna keep your starters in a preseason game? Boston, of course, is playing on the second leg of a back-to-back. I was trying to find it while you guys were talking, but I'm pretty sure they're not playing their starters. I see the line move from 5.5 all the way up to 7.5. The total dropped from 224.5 down to 219, and that makes all the sense in the world to me. We talked about the Knicks being a defensive team. They also, one of the slower-paced teams, and so I probably would have played the under there, but I'm not going to touch that one. San Antonio, OKC, I got to, figure out who's going to play, how many minutes in that one, but y'all stay tuned, man. I know somebody asked me for a pick yesterday. I jumped on Chicago as soon as the injury report came out, plus 4.5. Them losing the game by 3, so we cashed that one. Hopefully, we can continue to do the same thing. But it's really about having those notifications on. Also, live betting. You can. I know I'm kind of segueing, but you can live bet these games as well. Especially if a good team is playing against a terrible team, they jump out like Phoenix did yesterday. Then you got the second unit coming in, and most of the second unit is going to be comparable to each other. On both teams versus the starters might be really elite on one team. So just things to kind of take into consideration. If a team jump out to a 20, 25-point lead, 18-point lead, you probably could live bet that team, the team that's losing to come back when you get both B teams in. So just some things to kind of take into consideration there. And Brooklyn also play LA tonight too in LA. So I'll definitely be up for that one. Let's keep going. David, I know I got you up.
Yeah. Everything good?
Yeah, everything good, man. How about yourself? How you doing?
Everything good, fam good, so everything good. To be honest, I like what you do for the community and shit. So like, I really wanted to like get advice from you because this last year I guess I got lucky. Then I don't really take sports betting that serious, but like, what's some advice you could give me for like somebody that's trying to take sports betting serious?
So what you want to bet, David? You want to bet on props? You want to bet on sides? Like what you how you like betting?
I'm usually betting on props.
Betting on props, I would just say like have a the thing that's gonna help you the most is like information. Information always gonna be helpful. You need to know who playing, who not playing. You need to know like who usage gonna go up when X player is not playing, Y player is gonna get a certain amount of minutes, and then also have your just that's information resources. But you need to have like just like your NBA advanced stats, player stats. You need to know who playing on the first leg of a back-to-back, who playing on the second leg of a back-to-back, what their numbers look like in those certain situations. Those are the things that I'm taking into consideration. Also, how does the defense do against said position, right? If I'm looking at a point guard, I might not want to take him, if the center got a better matchup, right? Just different things like that.
And then also speaking about the Knicks, getting a backup point guard for the Knicks is definitely going to help them a lot because they played good during the season, but in the playoffs, like they ran Jalen Brunson out. Like Tibbs was playing him 48 minutes, and like he could. I remember he missed a buzzer beat. He got a turnover. I forgot what game it was, but I can't even blame that turnover on him because it's like he's tired. Having a backup point guard is definitely gonna help him. So I see him in like a 5th or 6th seed.
Okay. So we got some 5th seeds, we got some 6th seeds for appreciate you, David. We got some 5th seeds and some 6th seeds for this team. I'm of the mindset that they finish. I think that they can finish top 5. I don't think that they finish 6, but I guess people that's thinking 6 ain't too far off. I think that they can finish 5 again. I do think Cleveland will be good. Philly could be a bomb, kind of like what Flo said. Boston and Milwaukee, I think we both anticipate. I think everybody can anticipate them to be up there. So, it don't feel far-fetched for me to feel like this team can, potentially get home court in the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes. I do like their win total over. I know Stephen talked about that one as well. He also gave out a 76ers under 49.5 in correlation with that, which I think, correlates well, especially if that kind of blows up because their win total will drop a lot if James Harden gets traded, especially if they don't get a lot back in return or, Joel Embiid comes out, requests a trade, which we might not, breaking news kind of happens all the time. And sometimes is what we don't expect. So we'll see how that goes. I appreciate everybody for chopping it up about them. Let's keep going though. Let's keep going. We had a nice little segment right there about the New York Knicks. And I kind of figured that, man. I know a lot of people from New York listening to the pod. And, it's a lot of Knicks fans, a lot of passionate people close to the Mecca. So, let's talk about kind of a boring team. It's like, no, I'm just kidding. The Clippers aren't boring; they just always hurt. Let's shift a little bit to the LA Clippers, man. So with the Clippers, we have, let's see what I got. So let's talk about odds to start. So to win the Pacific Division, the books are kind of sleeping on this team and probably sleeping on them because they hurt all the time. To win the Pacific, they're plus 650. To win the West, they're plus 1200. To win the title, they're plus 2,700. So ours kind of stacked against them there. You look at additions, they didn't really change a lot. And I don't think they really needed to, honestly. You look at this team, they had size, they had length, they have 2 of the best two-way players in basketball, but availability is, going to be the conversation when you talk. It's kind of hard to talk about the Clippers without talking about availability. You bring in Kobe Brown via the draft. He's a guard. I don't think that Kobe Brown's going to play a lot. I think they probably just develop him over the course of the season because you still have Russell Westbrook at point guard. Kenyon Martin Jr. coming over in free agency, I think, will help this team a lot. He needs to be around, just the culture, right? He's a player that plays hard. Even when he was in that struggling situation that he was in Houston, Kenyon Martin was giving he got busy against my Lakers, CJ. Like I like Kenyon Martin Jr. a lot. I like his dad a lot, for the old heads in here that remember his dad playing for the Nets. Kenyon Martin Jr. is a player I really, really like a lot. Athletic, small forward that can play power forward if he needs to. Can also play some shooting guard. If he work on his jump shot, he's gonna have a decent career in the NBA for sure. So and he could jump for sure. He could fly for sure. Love Kenyon Martin Jr. as an addition. They only lose Eric Gordon. Of course, Eric Gordon went to Philly. Went to Phoenix. He's on that super team now. So you lose a little bit of points there, but this team still has Norman Powell. They still have Bones Highland. They still got Marcus Morris. Terrence Mann is still there as well. Mason Plumlee's still there as well. And you look at what happened to this team last year, it's the same old story every single year. First round against the Suns, Kawhi tears his meniscus after he was averaging 34.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6 assists in the first 2 games of that series. Paul George, of course, missed the series because he had a right knee sprain. And Clippers lose. They lose 4-1. You go back and look at the longevity of
like that. We worked hard. We worked hard in that series.
Yeah. Oh, Kawhi made y'all work real hard, Joe, but he definitely did.
It wasn't just injuries. We worked.
No, that's a fact. That's a fact. PG ended up playing just 56 games last year and 31 the season before. So, over the course of 82 times 2, 164 games, he's only played in 87 over the course of 2 seasons. So he's missed, pretty much a whole season. Kawhi played 52 games last season, so he missed 30 games as well. And that's, the theme of the team, man. You still going to need Norman Powell to play big. He averaged 17 points per game last year. I think you'll continue to need that. And it's really hard to evaluate this team because there is I'm not sure what the percentage is now. I've heard talks that the conversations are over and they're dead. I've heard conversations that, it's still on the realm of possibility, but there's still a possibility that Harden could end up landing in LA. And that changes the whole dichotomy of this team because Harden defense is something that, needs to be improved. But at the same time, I think he could help this offense a lot. And does that mean you ship away somebody like Russell Westbrook, right? So not 100% sure what happens there. This team's projected at 45.5 wins. Last year, what did I look at? Last year, this team won 44 games. They went 44-38. 44-38 last year. They were one of the better defensive teams. Their offense really didn't score that many points. I think they averaged like 113, which is not like mind-boggling in today's NBA. And for me, you can't really play on a team. You can't really play on the total, the win total. 45.5 says that they're going to win 2 more games. So I guess the books are anticipating Kawhi and PG to play in a few more games together. Neither one of those guys, for the people who won't keep it up, neither one of those guys got contract extensions, and they both were eligible for contract extensions. We also know that the Clippers are about to get their own facility. They won't be playing at Crypto.com Arena. About time they get out. They keep getting the chance to play in front of, the greatest fans and a gym that's full of, retired jerseys and Raptors hanging, and none of them belong to them. So it's good that they're getting their own facility. I love that for the Clippers. But 45.5 wins, I can't play on that because I don't know what Kawhi's injury history is going to be. Is that going to repeat itself? Same thing with Paul George. I want these guys to be healthy. I'm not rooting for them to, be injured. But if people told me that they were going to miss 12 games and they were going to play 73 games apiece this year, I'd take the over in a heartbeat. I think that they absolutely, crush that. So without that number, I'm not interested in betting any future markets for this team at all. They also have the 11th most difficult schedule. So, that's the back-to-backs, right? And we know a lot of the times that's when, whether it's training staff, medical staff, whether it's, just a Tyrant Coach Lou making the recommendation, these guys are saying all the right things that they want to play. They want to be available for their teams. But if it's the 11th most difficult schedule, then we got to look at how many back-to-backs does this team have? How many 3rd games in 4 nights do they have? How many 4 games in 6 nights? How many 5 games in 7 nights do this team have? How many times they're going to be flying around back-to-back? And what does that look like for, 2 players that, granted, you could say Kawhi's still in his prime, but I guess you could potentially say Paul George still in his prime as well, but they're not getting any younger. They're still a year older. So I know I'm not tying up my money long term, for the entirety of the season, not even on this win total, because as soon as one of these guys get hurt, just granted, given their injury history, you kind of say, well, the history kind of repeated itself, and I kind of lost my money there. So anybody else got any thoughts on the Clippers? Anybody looking to bet on a specific player? Anybody like the win totals? Anybody just say, you know what, just go ahead and take the under now? CJ, I see your hand up, so I'm going to kick it to you first. What you liking?
I'm actually liking Paul George. I think this year he comes out and proves something. I think he stays healthy. I actually think this is the year that Paul George make his case. He's really good on contract years. It's a contract year.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Look at Paul George. I'm telling you, first game of the season, I'm looking at Paul George's numbers. Whatever they are, I'm taking over.
First game of the season, okay.
First game, I'm taking whatever Paul George. Probably his points, definitely his rebounds, because I'm pretty sure that they're going to be low. And I'm probably going to even take a stab at his assists if they look right. But literally, Paul George is going to be the guy this year. I think you look at
2.5 threes.
Oh, that's a good one. Jehovah, because he shoot them. He let them fly. Okay. Go ahead, CJ. Finish your point, CJ.
Rebounds. You can always look at that. He's a good rebounder. He's going to be that guy. Y'all can project that at least 4 to 5 rebounds a game. You can look at him to do that easy.
Okay. I'm looking at this schedule real quick, CJ. I'm glad you pointed that out. Let's see. To start the season, they're versus Portland. That should be a nice little, get right spot right there off the rip. First quarter, first half spread. They should absolutely, that's a home opener too. That should be, that should be a good one for sure. Then you go to Utah. Then you got San Antonio back at the crib, and you got Orlando. So, they could easily start the season off 4-0. You got the Lakers and Clippers. They typically own us. They could win that game. Then you go start on an East Coast trip. You got the Knicks. You got the Brooklyn Nets. You got Dallas Mavericks where you come back home, and you got Memphis and Denver and Houston. So a lot of winnable games in there. And that schedule kind of screams get right spots off the rip for me, CJ. So I couldn't blame you at all for taking PG points over in that first game. Portland's going to be a team that's going to struggle this year. I think we all know that. With them losing Dame, and also we don't even know what that team is going to look like. There's still potential to kind of blow that team up, right? Do they hold on to Aiden? Do they let go of Aiden? Do they hold on to Malcolm Brogdon, or do they trade him and get even more assets, right? Because they got a lot of stuff coming for what they got rid of so far with Drew Holiday and getting rid of Dame. So it'll definitely be an expansion year. There'll be a lot of Scoot Henderson playing heavy minutes, kind of oohing and ahhing. Duron Sharp is another guy that's going to be out there, super high flyer. That's going to be getting up and down the court. But we'll talk about Portland later. Back to you, CJ. What's up?
Nah, I was just gonna say on your Portland point, man. They actually want DeAndre Ayton. Like, he wants to be a guy for them. He wants to, make his mark there in Portland. He feels like it's a small enough market, and he has a chance to actually do something there with those young guys. So I don't think they're gonna be any good, but I actually think DeAndre Ayton is the one that they keep. Brogdon is actually the one that's gonna be on the way out. They say Houston looking at them, but I don't see the fit. I don't see the purpose. Just them trying to get rid of that KPJ contract. I think a few other teams. I think Miami should be in on Brogdon because I think that's the type of guy that you want.
That's a fact, yeah.
But I don't know. But yeah, Brogdon will be the guy that's getting moved.
That make a lot of sense. If you move Brogdon and keep Aiden, I think that's even more points that get scored because at least Brogdon play defense. Aiden can't guard nobody. So I would agree. I would agree with that.
And CJ, he said Aiden didn't get a chance in Phoenix. He gonna have a chance now to run with the young guys in Portland. He had a chance in Phoenix, multiple chances, and we've seen what happened.
The problem is Jehovah is that the problem is that he ran into Jokic.
Fan, bro, I did not say that. I do not say that. He was trash in Phoenix.
You just said he's gonna have a chance to. He's only gonna have a chance with these young guys in Portland.
Yeah, that's him. That's his opinion.
He felt like he was slighted, Joe. I think he felt like the carpet got pulled from underneath him. He don't feel like he had enough time to actually get that done, and they probably all wanted to run it back. If you ask CP3 and him and everybody else, they probably feel like they wanted to do it one more time, and Matt Ishbia said, "Nah, we good with that. We're gonna switch it up. You gone. We're gonna bring in a couple guys, and we can bring in a new coach." So, yeah, that all makes sense.
Yeah, because I think with Ayton, I think him and Monty had problems as well.
Absolutely,
they did. They came out. They did, and it made sense. Even I remember when we played Dallas, and he didn't want to get back in the game. He was getting blown out, and I think that's where that started from. And then we seen him. He didn't play because what was it, whiplash or something? He got hit in the stomach, it's like, come on, like back-to-back years with this.
Yeah.
I'm happy he's going. He's soft. He don't.
I know. Hey, Jehovah, this ain't your betting podcast for your sons, bro. I know how you go. I know how you go with them, bro. And I'll let you get it out real quick. Keith, what you got, man? You got anything on this team?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that a specific team has made the NBA Finals. I want to say it's like the only time they did it is when Denver just went. And even if you look outside of the series that went back and forth between Cleveland and Golden State the last decade, I'm just kind of paying attention to that trend. So I'm definitely hoping that the Clippers have a good season, because it's more likely than not. I ended up finding this graph. I wish I can find it, but I didn't bookmark it on my laptop. But it's actually more common for teams if teams were unhealthy, high risk of injury or for over a course of a few seasons, it's more likely than not that in recent years that this team is actually going to stay healthy. So I'm not trying to persuade anyone to play like a team total in terms of wins, but I definitely do think the Clippers are going to be more healthy towards the end of the season. And it's this year that they have the new arena, or is that next season?
It'll be next year, I think. I think they broke ground on it during the regular season last year, but I think it'll take the entirety of this season, and they should be ready based on what I was reading for it next year.
I think that's just more of a reason to be more motivated, because if I put myself in the owner's shoes, my team has to be good, because we're trash and we go to a new arena.
That's a fact, Keith. That's a fact. I think that I think he wants to Steve Ballmer. I think he wants to keep his options open as well, which is why you don't extend these guys, right? Like maybe you make that hard choice, like a Matt Ishbia has done with Phoenix, and you say, you know what, it's time to get rid of these guys, and you bring in somebody else that's another star for your franchise. But you're right, though. It's going to be really hard. You kind of want to, things to be kind of rolling in a certain direction, the right direction, if you're, breaking ground and, building a new facility. Like, according to what I'm reading, like, this is a state of the line, like, type facility. It'll be better than all the other facilities in the NBA. So, I mean, all of that's to be determined, of course, but that is what they're kind of working towards. And I would agree with you, Keith. I think you gotta be, you want to be hot. You want to be, kind of have things rolling at that point in time for sure.
And definitely, probably around Christmas break or Christmas time, right before All-Star break, I'll look into the future. If the Clippers are playing good, I'm going to take my chances for them to stay healthy. I don't think any of them care about playing the 65, 67 games. I think they only care about winning in the playoffs and having it run at least through LA. So I'll see what they look at in a few months.
So you think, Keith, question for you. You think they finish so 5th through 8th? Where you think they finish at? Because I know you think they probably make the playoffs, right? Where you think they finish 5th through 8th? You think they just kind of hobble in, like don't really care about who they play, or you think they go hard and try to get home, solidify home court advantage?
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt and say they're going to finish at least 4, because even if they do make a trade for James Harden, and as you were saying before, I can't wish injuries on anybody. So even if they do make a trade for someone, I just think the West is it's really a big toss-up, because I think teams are going to slowly start catching up to Denver, especially teams that weren't healthy, that had the chance to beat them out in the West. So I gotta say the Clippers are going to be at a minimum at least 4, but if I'm talking about a floor, probably 7. I can't even say though, just barely get it in, but I'll probably pause. But I'll probably say 7.
Yeah. Okay. So 7 and about 45 wins is what the projection is. So yeah, the West is gonna be stacked, man. I'm not in a big rush to, I don't feel like we got a lot of value right now based on these numbers, and just kind of trying to figure out, which teams are gonna be healthy. Because I talked about this the other day. I do think health is gonna be a big part of it. One thing I want to mention real quick, Jehovah, I'll kick it back to you in a second. One thing I want to mention real quick with the Clippers as far as the betting trend. Last year, first half, I talked about the Knicks being a really, really good team, actually being the best team. I think I gave you guys the numbers 50, 51, 30, and 1 against the spread in the first half. This same Clippers team was actually one of the worst teams in the first half. They played a lot of their best basketball in the second half. They were actually the second worst team in the first half. They finished 32, 49, and 1. At home, they were only 14 and 27 against the spread. And on the road, they struggled as well, just 18, 22, and 1. So it was a team that, you could bet against in the first half and make a lot of money, and they kind of showed up more so afterwards. And the other thing with that, too, to your point, Keith, is like, the one thing for the Clippers we got to remember is, like, outside of Kawhi and outside of Paul George, it's really, really difficult because this team doesn't have a lot of star power after them, right? Like, Bones Highlands is going to have his really good games, but then he's also going to have those games where he don't show up at all, right? And I love Bones, right? Same thing for like Westbrook. Westbrook is going to have an extremely efficient shooting game. We saw him, be a lot better than he was with the Lakers, but he's also going to have his poor games as well. So just that consistency, right? Does Terrence Mann actually take this next step up? Because I read something earlier where he might end up starting and playing like power forward, beside Plumlee. So all of those things are just really interesting dynamics to see how they use those guys, how they're trying to, find rest for those guys. Because we know that, they're going to want them healthy for the playoffs. So they're going to try to find little pockets here and there to rest one of those guys if they're not resting, both of them at certain times throughout the season. So the Clippers are a very interesting team. I'm kind of curious to see how they play out this year. Jehovah, I'm going to kick it back to you.
I was going to say, you were right about the Clippers in that first half. That was a bet I always take. Whenever Clippers play, I just take the other team to win the half. Because they come out super. I can't even watch them at times. They come out so slow, and I can't. That was it.
Yeah, just the numbers, Jehovah. Just the numbers, bro. And I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you, Jehovah. I appreciate. I think Stefan might have something real quick. Let me get him back up. But I appreciate CJ for joining in and contributing. Shout out to Keith for coming through as well. Appreciate y'all fellas for pulling up.
I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, what's up?
I was gonna say, do you think the Clippers would be better than Dallas?
I think so, Jehovah. I'm not a Dallas believer, man. I really am not. I love Kyrie. I love Luka. I love them two together. But they got to pan out the rest of that roster, in my estimation. When they got together last year, I talked about this in the space. You really just played it over because they can't guard anybody. And they lose Christian Wood, which he wasn't a defensive stopper by any means, but at least he was 7 foot. Like, now you really have nobody, right? So you're a team that is, that moves the ball, that spreads the floor, that scores a lot of points, right? Because you got Tim Hardaway Jr., you got guys that can score the ball, but who is out there stopping anybody? Maxi Kleber? No, right? Like, you know what I mean? So like that they just kind of got pounded, and just I don't think that. I know they got a couple of guys, Lively, that came in that they drafted, but that's going to take time. So I don't think that the Clippers are going. I don't think that the Dallas. I haven't got the Dallas yet, but I don't think Dallas is going to play well throughout the entirety of the season. Will they win games? Absolutely, because Kyrie and Luka are like next level talents, and they'll will those teams. They'll will that team to wins on certain nights, but long term, I don't think that's a successful strategy what they got right now. Also, watch their first 2 games in Minnesota against Minnesota and Abu Dhabi, and they look terrible. The Timberwolves was crushing them in both games. So yeah, I'm not a big believer in them, but I'll talk a little bit more about them coming up, Jove. I'm pretty sure that they are pretty close coming up on the list.
I'm saying from like a betting perspective, Kyrie and Luka points, threes. I see myself betting that early.
Yeah, I think it'll be
going off.
I think Jehovah, it'll be value in a line like Tim Hardaway Jr. I think you'll find value in him. You'll find value in a guy like Steph Curry. Just because Kyrie and Luka are both point guards too, and their assist numbers are going to be there as well. They'll draw a lot of attention, and I'd much rather like having Tim Hardaway have to make a 3-pointer, which we saw last year. He had some very explosive games, or a guy like Steph Curry, than to give Luka that 17-foot, 19-foot fadeaway that's automatic, pretty much. And Kyrie the same way. Kyrie pull up, we know he's a master with the basketball. What he can do mid-range all the way to the rim. So you're gonna live with those dishes to those other guys. Will they be able to make them? Which is why I think we'll find value on that Steph Curry 2.5 line, that Tim Hardaway Jr. 2.5, 3-point line as well. So I think
Steph Curry. Tim Hardaway Jr. with me, he think on my ban list. because he is. He have those games, but he is inefficient as shit sometimes. And when he get in them slumps, he'll just be jacking up bad threes, like just jacking them up. So I'm iffy with him, but Seth, because he take better shots,
better quality shots. Yeah. We'll see how that go. I think the opportunity gonna be there, Judge Hope. You know, when we bet, and we always looking for opportunity. So I think the opportunity gonna be there for for those guys specifically a lot. The Mavs aren't a team that like to score a lot in the paint. If it's not Luka getting down there, all the way to the rim. So we'll see how it goes, though. We'll see how it goes. Appreciate you for joining up as well, Jehovah. And that's what we got, man. Hour in the books, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. If you joined late, hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel over on YouTube. Hit the follow button if you're listening in on Twitter. All week. We'll be doing this all week. Tomorrow we have, and I talked about it, every single team that has a better record, that had a better record last year than the Los Angeles Clippers and the New York Knicks, we've covered already. So we're going 2 teams a day in a different, in a descending order. So tomorrow we'll have the Golden State Warriors and we'll have the Atlanta Hawks, right? So we'll talk about odds, additions, subtractions, offseason notes, kind of catch everybody up on what's been going on with those teams. Yeah, that's what I got for you guys. As far as NBA tonight, I don't have anything because I haven't looked at the preseason numbers at all to see who's in and who's out. As far as NFL today, no play for me at all. I wanted to get on Green Bay because I don't feel like I can be laying points at all, even if it's just 1 or 2 with the Raiders. But I don't like that Aaron Jones is not playing. So I'm gonna stay off of that game. I do feel like it's a winnable game for Green Bay, even with Jordan Love and how bad he's been looking. So those are my thoughts there. Didn't play anything. WNBA, I think, is back on Wednesday. And I think it'll be an overreaction. I think you got to look at the Liberty. The Aces just smashed the Liberty in the second half of that game yesterday. The public probably going to be heavy on the Aces, but I do think it's a winnable series. Still, for the Liberty, you got to look at the outlier performances. This was the first time that the Aces out-rebounded the Liberty since Candace Parker came back. Since Candace Parker went out, which was the first game. And it was also a career high for Kelsey Plum, a playoff career high. And you really had a poor game from Sabrina Ionescu. Just 7 points yesterday. I think she'll bounce back in a big way as well. I think the Liberty will play better defense. Aces had something to prove in that last game. So those are my thoughts there. Let me kick it right back to CJ one more time, and then Jehovah, I'll get to you and we'll finish up. What's up, CJ?
I was just gonna say on your Aces point, man. I honestly think the Aces played the Liberty a lot this year. I think the Liberty felt like they had their number, and the Aces kind of didn't show their full hand during the regular season. So don't get tripped up so much on that regular season game, because I think the Aces didn't play the best ball that they could play. But I think they're gonna play it now and win this series. I think Liberty only win 1 game.
Yeah, I got a future on the Liberty at plus 200 to win the series that I took maybe like a month and a half ago. But you could be right. You could be right. We'll see how that go. We'll definitely see how that go. I want to look. I'm gonna rewatch that game just a tad bit. You really just got to watch the second half because that's when the tides kind of turned. I was watching that yesterday and watching football at the same time. Jehovah, what you got?
I'm just gonna ask one more quick question about the Clippers.
Yeah, what you got?
I don't think we spoke about it. Just about Westbrook. How do you think he's gonna play this? Like, how do you think he's gonna come out this season compared to last year? Because he played good when he got to the Clippers. He in the playoffs defensively as well.
Yeah, so I think Westbrook succeeds. I think he succeeds this year, Jehovah. I was reading something about he had he did the team building bonding experience thing at his crib. So I think he invited everybody out.
He got him like gifts or something.
Yeah, like I think he bought all of them. Like I think it was the iPhones. Yeah, he bought all of them the new iPhones as a gift. Gifted all of them those. So yeah, I think with Westbrook, he's happy. Like I think he's happy in LA. He didn't have to sell his house, so that's where he's from, of course. So I think all of that, and no matter who you talk to, they all kind of say the same thing about the type of player that he is, the type of person that he is, as far as his work ethic, as far as his leadership. They always say he's the first person in the gym. They always say the last person out. They always say he's, lifting. So I think all of those things kind of manifest themselves. I see that a lot for myself. I feel like I'm always the one that's working the hardest, always, crunching numbers, no matter what I'm doing in all aspects of my life. So I think those things kind of come full circle. I like Westbrook. I like Westbrook a lot. He just didn't fit with my Lakers, but I wish him success. And I think he's going to be successful, especially if we see anything, Jehovah, like we have seen from Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in the past, and he has to pick up and take on a little bit more of that responsibility for being able to kind of facilitate and be able to score the ball. So I like Westbrook this year.
And thing about that too, I feel like Westbrook now he's not the only one on the team that has something to prove. PG has a lot to prove.
That's a fact.
So Kawhi.
Yeah, especially in contract year.
All that pressure is not just going to be on Russ.
That's a fact. That is a fact, Jehovah. That's a big fact for sure. Okay. All right, like I said, I appreciate everybody for rocking with me, man. Like I said, same time tomorrow, 5:15 Eastern time. Turn those notifications on if you're watching on YouTube. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the show. Hit the heart button if you're watching on Twitter. I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Golden State in Atlanta tomorrow. Best of luck tonight if y'all got any action at all. MLB playoffs, I think, is about to start in the 7 minutes as well. The Dodgers, no, the Braves play the Phillies. Yeah. Braves play the Phillies. Phillies looking to go up 2-0 in that series, but I don't got no action on that either. So best of luck tonight, man. I'll catch you guys later.